He says, we normally distinguish between Karana and Karya. Karana Karya Vibhagat. Why should there be Avyakta, the unmanifest Prakriti? Because we normally distinguish between Karana and Karya. If we see a bed, we say that it is made of wood, right? And wood is the cause. Even in Loka Vyavahara, at the level of empirical transactional reality, we distinguish between the concept of Karana and the concept of Karya. And we presuppose, we assume that if something is seen by us, is considered by us as an effect, then it must have a cause. Whether we know its cause at that time or not is a different matter. About that there may be room for further reflection. But that it must have a cause seems certain to us, right? For example, I may not be aware, or a child may not be aware of what things this fan is made of, but he can conclude after observing certain other things that it also must have some cause. Say a boy of 10, 12 years, you can say it like that. Yes, please come in. For example, we may not know what is the cause of sea, samudra. We may not know what is the cause of sea. There are almost infinite things in the world. We observe only a few things which have a cause. And then by induction, we conclude that everything which seems to be an effect must have a cause. Isn't it? We have not seen the causes of many things about which we think they must have a cause. What cause that is, we may not know. May depend upon further investigation, whether scientific or metaphysical. Is that clear? So he says, because we draw a distinction between Karana and Karya, and we have seen the effect, Mahadadi, etc., they are evident to us, we conclude that there must be an unmanifest Prakriti. Unmanifest Prakriti. Karana Karya Vibhaga. What is the next, Shuchi? Karana Karya Vibhaga. He says, Karanam cha karyam cha karana karya tayor vibhaga karya karana karya vibhaga. Karana and karya, karana karya. This is sabas. Tayor vibhaga, the division of them into cause and effect is karana karya vibhaga. He says, idam karyam iti buddhya dvida avasthapanam vibhago yasa karana karya vibhaga. It's simple. We distinguish, as I said, that this is cause, this is effect. So this understanding we come to determine that there must be division between Karana and Karya. And because Mahad Adi, etc., are Karyas, we infer from them the existence of the unmanifest. Unmanifest something, and we give it the name of Prakriti. We give it the name of Prakriti. Right? Yes. And then there is Avibhagat Vaishwarupyasya. Iha yad Vishwarupam tasya avibhago drishta. Iha, here, yad vishwarupam, whatever has a cosmic form, Vishwa is cosmic, universe. Whatever has the form of the universe or cosmos, avibhaga drishta, that has been seen to be avibhaga, undivided, or as I use the expression, undifferentiated. Avibhaga, undifferentiated. Tadyatha saliladinam jalabhumi vishwarupashta mahadadya tesham ishamapi avibhagena bhavitavyam yosau avibhaga tad avyaktam tasmat asti avyaktam. Then he says, we know that things like water, for example, has a cosmic form. Like what? Is found in lakes, is found in ponds, is found in rivers, is found in seas, is found in taps, so on and so forth. So it must have a cosmic form, and therefore it must be undivided or undifferentiated. Jalabhumi, Vishwarupashta Mahadadaya, and Mahat, etc. Mahat is called Mahat because Mahatvacha is very great, Tasmad Ishamapi avibhagena bhavitavyam. Therefore, Mahat, etc. also must have a cosmic form. Yosau avibhagaha tad avyaktam. This undifferentiated thing is called avyakta, unmanifest. Tasmat asti avyaktam. For that reason, there is avyakta. Isn't it? Are you following my point? I'll explain it further. As I've already explained, that any avyakta thing, even at the vyavaharik level, though this is not the expression that is used by Yuktidipika, and by vyavaharik means in loka vyavahara, and Nyaya uses this, loka vyavahara, as common sense tells us. We see many objects like seeds, mango seeds, which grows into a mango tree or a mango fruit. So seed is unmanifest form and undifferentiated form. Seed becomes undifferentiated, divided into a trunk, into branches, into leaves or flowers or fruits. So all these things are differentiations of the avyakta seed called mango seed. Right? Similarly, Prakriti is avyakta, but it becomes differentiated, divided into 23 tattvas. Do you follow? Please tell me, do you follow or not? So Prakriti, the state of equipoise of Prakriti, when it is in a state of samyavastha, it is in an unmanifest condition, and it is avikriti. It has not yet transformed itself into any other tattva. But all the transformations, like a bud into a flower, as I gave the example yesterday. So there is something called unity and there is differentiations. Prakriti has to be considered as some sort of unity. Even though I don't know, I am not certain whether Yuktidipika or Sāṅkhya would like to call Prakriti as a unity. But it has to be considered as a unity. Otherwise, Vibhaga does not make sense. So Prakriti is avibhaga at the equipoise level, when the parinamas have not begun to take shape. Is that clear to you all? Okay, I move further. And then we come to this. We come to chapter 5. Because what is contained in Kārikās 16th, I have already in the course of my observations said some of the things which are contained in that Kārikā. Now comes a very important Kārikā. Others are no less important. Very important in the sense that after doing Prakriti and Vikriti, we come to Purush. We come to Purush. Sanghata pararthatvat. Is my voice audible? Sanghata pararthatvat. Trigunadi viparayad adhishthanat. Purushosti bhoktri bhavat. Kaivalyatham pravartesha. Iha sanghata pararthadrishta. Tadyatha shayanasana ratha charanadaya. Asti chayam sharira lakshana sanghata. Tasmad anena api pararthena bhavitavjam. Yosau paraha sa purushaha. Tasmad asti purushaha. He says, Sanghata pararthatvat. Sanghat is an aggregate or combination. Whatever exists as a combinational unity exists for something else, not for itself. A chair does not exist for itself. It exists for somebody else. Which somebody else? For anybody else who wants to sit on it. Right? Who wants to make use of it? Who wants to sit on it? Para. And therefore, chair is para. Para artha. Meant for another. Pararthatva. Its purpose is fulfilled if somebody uses it. Isn't it? Otherwise, its purpose is not filled. Man would not make chairs if they were not to use it, if they were not to use them. Sanghata pararthatvat. We have seen in Loka Vyavahara at the ordinary level that there are sanghatas, there are combinations. What is combination? Any aggregate of something. So aggregates are meant for something else. This we have observed at a very ordinary level. Trigunadi viparaya. Then there must be something which is opposite to the trigunas, which does not consist of three gunas. There must be something which does not consist of three gunas. We cannot conclude by observing the world that there is an avyakta prakriti, it consists of three gunas, but there is nothing else apart from prakriti which does not consist of three gunas. Right? So there must be something that is different from prakriti and which does not consist of, which is not composed of, which is not constituted of three gunas. Adhishthanat. Then there must be an adhisthana. Adhisthana to what? Body. There must be a superintending agency. Superintending, controlling. Adhisthana, there must be a controlling agency. What do we mean by it? Can anyone explain in a few words?
सर अधिष्ठान मीन्स अधिष्ठान बोलना है कि आधार ऐसा कुछ आ रहा है ना?
अच्छा चलिए कोई बात नहीं,
प्रतिष्ठा इस तरह का
अधिष्ठान।
हाँ हाँ
हाँ
मीन्स किसी चीज के ऊपर आधार जो है उसके
अच्छा
ऊपर अधिष्ठान इस तरह का होता है ना?
हाँ, तो बॉडी का कोई अधिष्ठान होना चाहिए। तो बॉडी का अधिष्ठान कौन सा है? पैर है?
नहीं भूमि होगी।
भूमि होगी।
क्यों? उसके ऊपर हम खड़े हैं ना।
भूमि पर तो पंखा भी खड़ा है, टेबल भी खड़ी है।
आत्मा?
आत्मा किस तरह? हाँ आत्मा हो सकता है, आई वुड से यस, लेकिन किस तरह से है आत्मा? आत्मा अधिष्ठान कैसे है?
आत्मा शरीर के आधार पे अधिष्ठान करती है।
शरीर के आधार पर?
शरीर को आधार बना के आत्मा की अधिष्ठान होती है।
शरीर को आधार आत्मा बनाती है। सोचो, आप तो कह रही हैं कि शरीर का अधिष्ठान है आत्मा, तो क्या आत्मा शरीर को अधिष्ठान बनाती है, आधार बनाती है? You please keep quiet. If you want to say, please say. Yes. Prasad?
नेपाल।
Nepal Das. Yes, yes. Yeah, tell me. Yes.
शरीर आत्मा को अधिष्ठान करके रहता है।
शरीर आत्मा को
अधिष्ठान।
शरीर आत्मा को अधिष्ठान बनाता है।
हाँ।
अच्छा, शरीर ये चाहता है कि आत्मा अधिष्ठान बने। कैसे चाहता है? शरीर तो जड़ है।
गुण विशिष्ट है ना?
चाहना तो कॉन्शियस स्टेट है।
तो गुण विशिष्ट है ना?
हैं?
गुण विशिष्ट है ना? गुण गुण है ना? गुण के आधार होती है ना?
भूमि
गुण गुण गुण
गुण आधार है शरीर के।
शरीर गुण विशिष्ट है ना?
हाँ ठीक है।
गुण है तो वो उस गुण के आधार पे सर और एक बार क्वेश्चन हम लोग के लिए क्लियर।
आप बैठिए, बैठिए। See, I don't have to say it that philosophy begins when reflection begins. Without reflection, there is no philosophy. When you reflect on the word or on yourself, if you want to know yourself, you have to reflect on yourself, isn't it? Just see, my school master, if I have made a mistake in reading the text he wants me to read, he asks me to stand up. Like I asked you, please stand up if you have to say anything. But I didn't order you, all right? But the schoolmaster orders me, stand up. So I stand up. Now I can't stand up unless I will to stand up. Unless I desire to stand up. Unless I agree to stand up. Yes, I stand up. Because I may protest. I may fight my schoolmaster. I would stand up. I may be beaten by him. I may be expelled from the school. That is a different thing. That would be the consequence of my dissent, of my protest. But I may protest. But suppose I stand up according as my respected schoolmaster asks me to. But I can't stand up unless I desire to stand up, or not. If I want to, if I have to write something on the blackboard, I have to want to write something on the blackboard, isn't it? Desire comes first. If you want to attend this session, you have to desire to attend this session. And then you make your legs move, okay? Go towards the room where this session would be held, isn't it? Try to understand these things. If I will, you understand will, willing. If I will, I can raise my hand. So I am the adhisthān of my bodily actions. Which is this I? This is Purush. For the time being, for the time being, for the time being. If I don't will, I would not stand up. Bhagat Singh doesn't want to reveal the names of his comrades, so he suffers. But he doesn't want to, so he doesn't tell. I have a rasgulla. I want to have a rasgulla. Otherwise, why should I have it? Even a child whose belly is full refuses to take anything, to eat anything else, anything more. He refuses. He must want to refuse, so he refuses. So this is adhisthāna, self-consciousness. Who wills? Arm does not want itself to rise. I want my arm to rise. And my arm rises if I am not suffering from any ailment like paralysis. I can raise my arm by the mere willing. I can close my eyes by the mere willing. Here I have closed my eyes. Isn't it? Isn't that clear? I want to walk to you. I want to walk to you, so I walk to you. I have an appointment with someone. I drive my car and go there. I want to meet him, so I drive my car. I use my feet, and so on. I go there. And then I use my eyes to see him, to meet him, to talk to him. Right? This is adhisthāna, controlling agency. It controls the body. It controls the body. Right? I imagine. I want to imagine. A teacher can provoke you to think of something. And you have to want to think of that thing. And if you want, then you start thinking of that thing. Otherwise, say, I don't care for the teacher. I'll better doze off. Right? Adhisthāna. Let me see what the Yuktidīpika has to say. Trigunādi viparrayāt. He says we have already done Trigunam aviveki vishaya samanyam acetanam prasavadharmi. And we have said there that there must be something opposite. There must be something opposite, which is that there must be something which is the opposite of Prakriti, which comprises, which is constituted of three gunas. Trigunādi viparrayāt adhisthānāt. And then adhisthān, purushosti bhoktri bhāvāt. And then purushosti bhoktri bhāvāt. The self exists. For these reasons, sanghāta parārthatvāt, trigunādi viparrayāt, adhisthānāt, bhoktri bhāvāt. These 5 reasons are given, 5 grounds are given for proving that there is a self, there is a purush. 5 grounds. Sanghāta parārthatvāt, because combinations exist for something else, for somebody else. Trigunādi viparrayāt, because there must be something which does not consist of 3 gunas, which is not made up of 3 gunas. Adhisthānāt, because for a body there must be a controlling agency. Unless we believe with the materialist that body moves on its own. Right? Yes, you wanted to ask something, Shankar Sahib? Okay, okay. Bhoktri Bhavat, because there must be an not experience, experient. There must be an experient. Bhokta means experient primarily, and then secondarily enjoyer. Enjoyer not in a very pleasant sense, enjoyer in a neutral sense. He enjoys sukh and he enjoys dukh, like that. He experiences and sukh and he experiences dukh, or even what is called tamas, depression. Sukh, dukh and depression. Priti, apriti, vishadatmaka. Kaivalyartham pravrittescha. And because there is a tendency, this applies to Prakriti as well as to Purush. Kaivalyartham, as I said when I intervened, when I interjected, when Professor Penna was doing this Kārikā, I interjected to say that this can have two connotations. First is Kaivalyartham pravrittescha, because self, when it finds itself ensnared in the world and wants to free itself from that binding world, it seeks liberation. Pravritte, pravritte. It tends to do, it endeavors to do something for liberating itself from the world. And second is Kaivalyartham pravrittescha, because there is pravritti in Prakriti. There is pravritti in Prakriti. Pravritti, what pravritti? Prakriti, pravritti in the form of giving rise to the manifest world of 23 tattvas. Because those 23 tattvas constituted the bhogya padarthas of Purush. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Ras, Gandha, these are the bhogya padarthas of the Purush. Right? We like to hear good music. Good music is bhogya. Shabda, Sparsha, we like to touch beautiful things, whether it be flowers or it be women. We like to touch them. Shabda, Sparsha. Rupa, we like to see things which are beautiful form. Right? Lakes, mountains, rivers, so on and so forth. And etc. And smell, etc. Purushoste bhoktri bhavat. He says, iha sukha dukkha mohatmakatved acetanam vyaktam avyaktam cha tasmad asya parasparena bhogo nopapadyate ityavashya bhoktra bhavitavyam yosau bhokta sapurusha. He says that this avyakta and avyakta world, since it is unconscious, it cannot be an experient, a bhokta. A bhokta must be a conscious entity. Isn't it? If we experience pleasure or if we experience pain, we do so as conscious beings. When we are to be operated, anesthesia is given to us so that we may not feel the pain of the surgical operation. Isn't it? So by anesthesia, our senses are put to sleep. Our consciousness, rather, is put to such a state so that it may not feel for some time. Of course, for some time. If anesthesia is given in such a way that I die, I'll file a petition against the doctor. He says, Sukha Dukkha Mohatmakatvat, because Acetanam Vyaktam and Avyaktam is of the character of Sukha Dukkha Moha, Atmakatvena. Atmamara is of the form of. Atman does not everywhere mean self. Atmakatvena. Tasmad asya parasparena bhogo nopapadyate. So Prakriti cannot experience the Vyakta world, and Vyakta world cannot experience Prakriti. Avashyam bhoktra bhavitavyam. So there must be an experient. yosav bhokta sapurusha. This experience is purush, a conscious entity, or rather consciousness. Ka punarayam bhogo nama. What is this bhoga? Yuktidipika asks. Bhoga upalabdhi sadbhavad. As I said the other day when Professor Penna was doing this, that bhoga means upalabdhi, cognition. Whenever we experience something, we have a cognition of it. Whenever we enjoy something, we have a cognition of it. Take, for example, the case of a chocolate. When we enjoy its taste, we have a cognition of it. We first know how it tastes, and then we enjoy it. And in case of salt, for example, we know how it tastes, and then we think of whether to take it into our mouth or not, isn't it? If we take, a considerable amount of salt into it, we will not feel good, right? Why? Because we first know how it tastes, and then we know that it tastes badly if it's taken in too much amount, if it's taken in too much, if it's taken, in plenty. Is that so or not? Bhoga upalabdhi sadbhava. And then there's a beautiful discussion where the Vijnanavada is criticized. Vijnanam eva vishayopalabdhi samartham iti etavan matram evastu kim purushena parikalpatena iti. The query arises that Vijnana is enough for vishayopalabdhi samartham, because it is capable of cognizing objects. And then he says, what is Vijnana? And Chakshur Vijnana, Shrotra Vijnana, I have to skip it. I'm sorry I have to skip it, though this is a very important portion of the Buddhist and Sankhya discussion, Sankhya and Buddhist discussion. So is the Kārikā clear to you? One thing I have to say about this Kārikā, that this Kārikā, which gives 5 grounds, these 5 grounds constitute, as I once said in a paper of mine, a metaphysical argument for the reality of the self. It is not an empirical argument. Empirical argument is one which tries to prove something on empirical ground, which means we are not aware of ourselves, but rather there must be a self because there are aggregates. There must be a self because Prakriti tends to produce something which becomes the object of our experience. There must be self because there has to be a controlling agency, etc., etc. Right? And this metaphysical argument rests upon certain presuppositions. Like, first, one of the important presuppositions is that creation or universe, which consists of 23 tattvas, and besides them, Prakriti itself has a certain meaning. That Prakriti gives rise to the world because this world is to serve a certain purpose. Nyaya does not say it. Vedanta does not say it. Mimamsa does not say it. Buddhism does not say it. I don't know about Jainism much, so I won't say anything there. Isn't it? That Prakriti has a certain purposiveness about it. It has a certain finality. It is a final cause. Purush is the final cause. A final cause is something for which something happens, something is done. Isn't it? If I do something for my child becomes the final cause for my cooking something. Right? So it becomes the final cause for the time being. But when there's a question of the whole creation has a certain end. And this end, and no, not end, but an objective. And this objective is to serve the twin interests of the self, bhog and apavar. I now move further. What is the next kārikā? Janana marana karanānām pratidiyamāt ajugapat pravrittascha purusha bahutvam siddham traigunya viparvayāchaiva. Now the question arises. Is this self one or many? Right? As you reflect systematically, when you reflect philosophically and systematically, if you should take one step, it inevitably leads to another step, or rather another question. If you have solved one question, it leads to another question, which too demands a resolution, demands answers. So now the question is whether this self is one or many. The question arises, thanks Sankhyakarika, because it has been maintained by some people at least that there is only one self. Who are those people? For example, Vedanta, the Upanishads. Neha nanasti kinchana. Nana is not there. Now, first understand the meaning of janma. Very important. See the definition of janma. Janmeti mahadade suksha sharirashitasya lingasya yatha sanskaram bhayyena sharirana sambandha. He says, janma. What is birth? Mahadade suksha sharirashitasya lingasya. Suksha sharir ashitasya mahadade. They are the ashrayas of suksha sharir. Mahad, etc. These 18 tattvas constitute linga sharir or suksha sharir. Right? Mahadadi panchatanmatra ekadashendriya. Right? So this comes to 18 tattvas. Isn't it? 5 panchamahabhutas are not included in it. They are excluded. We have 23 evolutes, panchamahabhutas are excluded. The rest of the 18 tattvas constitute the linga or suksha sharira. So this suksha sharirasya lingasya yatha sanskaram, according to our sanskaras. Because Sāṅkhyakārikā, like other Indian schools, believes in doctrine of karma and rebirth. Yatha sanskara. According as the sanskaras of our actions bear fruit, come to fruition. The sanskaras. Bhayyena sharirena sambandha. So the suksha sharira, along with the self, but let us put aside the self for the time being, because the suksha sharira gets connected with the bhajena, with an external body. External means with a gross body. Bhajena sharira. As if Sūksha Sharira is an inner Sharira and this body is an outer Sharira. So there are two Shariras, Sūksha Sharira and Sthula Sharira. This is called Sthula Sharira, Bhajya or gross body. Now the Kārikā says, Janma Marana Karananam Pratiniyama. And similarly, Marana, when our karmas are exhausted, for this life we come to death, we suffer death. Maranam iti purvakatisya karmana phalabhoga parisamapti sampratasya phalabhogasya pratyupasthane lingasya purva sharira tyaga. Maranam iti purvakatisya karmana, the actions which we have done earlier. Phalabhoga parisamapti, when arrives the end of enjoyment of fruits of those actions. Sampratasya phalabhoga pratyupasthane, and when the time comes for the enjoyment of the fruits of deeds done in the present life or now. Samprata means now also. Lingasya purva sharira tyagaha. Linga gives up the purva sharira, the former body. Former body, this existing body, and then moves to acquire another body. Right? Karanam chatriyodasha vidam. And karanas are 13 kinds. What is that? Buddhi, ahankara, and the rest of them. Janma cha maranam cha karalani cha janma marana karani tesham pratipurusham niyama etasmal lingat atmano bahutvam avasiyate. He says, because we find that janma, janana, manana and karanas belong to everybody. Everybody is born, everybody suffers death, and everybody has 13 organs. Isn't it? Mahad, Ahankara and Ekadashendriyas. These are the 13 karanas. Right? Everybody has them. Or is there anybody who doesn't have them? Everybody has them. Janma Marana Karanana Pratiniyamat. They belong to everybody. Niyamat is a law. Pratiniyamat is a law. Everybody has them. Pratiniyamat Ajugapat Pravrittesya. And we have seen that people do not behave in the same way at the same time at the same place. Somebody is going to Agra, somebody is going to Bombay. Somebody is doing Yuktidipika, somebody is doing Brahma Sutra. Somebody wants to have a cake, somebody wants to have a mango. So bodies behave differently, isn't it? People behave differently. Vibhinna rupa khalu chitta vrittaya. As I said the other day, chitta vrittis are different. Ajugapat pravrittesh. Ajugapat means known simultaneously. They do not tend towards the same thing simultaneously. Somebody appears in higher secondary exam, somebody appears for MA exam. And at different times. Is that clear? Purusha bahuttam siddham. Purusha bahuttam siddham. This shows that there are many Purushas. Because there are many bodies with different sorts of actions which are not simultaneous. So therefore there must be many Purushas, many selves. Trigunadi viparjayachaiva. And then he says Trigunadi viparjayachaiva. Then we have, what happens. Trigunadi viparjayachaiva. Because we see people, they all have three gunas, of course, but the balance of three gunas differs from person to person, isn't it? Somebody has in his personality the dominance of sattva. Somebody has in his personality the dominance of rajas. And somebody has in his personality the dominance of tamas. Some bodies are more stupid than others. Some people are more intelligent than others. We can say, for example, that Mahatma Gandhi had the predominance of sattva and rajas rather than tamas, and Jawaharlal Nehru had more rajas than sattva, because Mahatma Gandhi was a Mahatma after all and believed in certain principles which approximate towards what we approximate to what sattva represents, right? And then Jawaharlal Nehru, he had the predominance of sattva more than Jawaharlal Nehru, while Jawaharlal Nehru had the predominance of rajas. Similar consideration applies to all of us. Some people understand the same thing quickly, some people understand the same thing a bit in time. They don't understand, they don't comprehend things quickly, right? Trigunadi viparjayachaiva. So, because all these things differ from person to person, from body to body, therefore there cannot be a self. Had there been a one self, all people would have been born at the same time and would have died at the same time. But we know people have existed in the past, will exist in future, and exist in the present. All those people are not getting born at the same time, and they are not dying at the same time. And because there must be an adhisthana to a body, so there must be a self to each body, and because there are many bodies, there are many selves. Purusha Bahuttam Sabdi. Is that clear? This Kārikā is to be combined with 17th Kārikā, right? Which we have already done. Sanghāta Parathatvad, etc. So two important Kārikās we have done today, 17th and 18th. We'll be moving to Kārikā 19th.